Hello and welcome back. This is episode number 2 on A Sunny Morning, a one-act play. We saw in the first episode, Donna, Laura and Petra enter the park. The play opens in a park in Madrid. She was very happy to be there in the park. She had feared her seat would be occupied by somebody, but it wasn't. So that made her happier. She settled on her bench, and there was a conversation between Laura and Petra. After Petra left the place, she began to feed the pigeons with breadcrumbs. So this is what we saw in the first episode. Into the same park now, Gonzalo and Juanito entered. Gonzalo and Juanito are two more characters which are introduced now to the audience. Look at the difference now between Gonzalo and Laura, and you can see in the description. Gonzalo is an old gentleman of 70, gouty and impatient. Gonzalo entered the park now, into the same park where we saw Donna Laura. He's an old gentleman of 70. He's also 70-year-old, but gouty. He was suffering from gout, joint pain, and he was impatient. He is impatient. He leans upon Juanito's arm and drags his feet somewhat as he walks. So the appearance is this way. He is not as refined as Laura in looks. So this fellow looked aged and fragile and looked weaker. He enters the park. The moment he enters the park, he said these things. Idling their time away. They should be saying mass, he said. Idling their time away. If someone idles something away, that means he wastes it. So, idling their time away, the people are wasting their time sitting here in the park. They should be saying mass, M capital. Mass is a gathering in a church. That is mass, M capital. So people gathered here in the park as if they gather in a church. Here, these people are wasting their time away. If that is true, what is Gonzalo doing now? He has come to the park to waste time, isn't it? But he said these things because he's unhappy. He's upset. He did not have a bench for himself at all. That's why Juanito suggested, you can sit here, Senor. Senor means sir. You can sit here. There is only a lady. The moment this much is said, Laura, as sharp as she is, turns her head and listens to these people. It's quite natural for human beings. When the seat beside you is occupied by someone else or is going to be occupied, you don't like it. If you are a regular commuter by bus, if you are traveling by bus regularly, you would know that you don't want anyone to sit beside you until you finish your journey. When passengers get into the train, you will be looking for them, whether they would come and sit beside you or they go somewhere else. If they go somewhere else, you are very happy. Similarly, you can see, you can sit here, Senoro, he suggested, but he said no. But the moment that suggestion was made by Juanito, Laura looked towards them, turned to her head and listened to them. But Juanito did not sit there. I won't, Juanito, he said. He would not sit there. I won't, he would not. Reported speech. I want a bench to myself, he said. He wanted a bench to himself. Transforming the sentences into reported speech now and then. I'll be doing this throughout the play. When Gonzalo said he wanted a bench for himself, Juanito said there was no bench left for him to sit. That one over there is mine. That one over there is mine, said Gonzalo. He's claiming his bench. How can you claim your bench in a public park? There are only benches in the public park. Not my bench, your bench, her bench, their bench. Nothing like that. There are only benches in a public park. But he said, the one there, the three priests are sitting. Juanito said, that bench is also occupied. There are 3 priests sitting over there. Rout them out. Rout them out. Pull them out. Drive them out from the seat. Have they gone, Juanito? They are talking. Gonzalo is upset. So he's saying, just as if they are glued to the seat. They are sitting as if they put the gum over there on the seat and sitting. No hope of their leaving. Come this way, Juanito. They decided to move from that place and go in order to search for a bench for them to sit. The moment they decided to go, they walked towards the birds and they walked towards the right side. That made her, Laura, angry. Indignantly, she said, in anger, she said, look out, be careful of what you are doing. Take care of the things around you. Look out. That means that. Look out. That made Gonzalo feel strange about this lady. But he politely asked, are you speaking to me, Senora? Senora means madam. Are you speaking to me, madam? He politely asked. Because how could you talk to a stranger in that way? In a public park. Who could that be? That is what made Gonzalo respond to her in such a way. But he was polite. Are you speaking to me, Senora? Yes, to you, he said. Yes, to you. What do you wish? What do you want? Why did you talk to me? Why did you yell at me like that? You have scared away the birds who were feeding on my crumbs, she said. How dare you to do that? That's what she was asking indirectly. But Gonzalo said, I don't care about the birds. What do I care about the birds? If your birds are scared away, how does it matter to me? That's what he's saying. But I do care about the birds. This is a public park. Then why do you complain that the priests have taken your bench? Laura replied. This is how the conversation between these two began. The conversation between these two began in a very unfriendly, unhealthy manner. Gonzalo said that was a public park. Laura replied, then why did he complain that the priest had taken his bench? So Gonzalo wanted to end this somehow. Senora, madam, we have not met, he said. Be careful of what you are saying. You are talking to a stranger. We have not met before. I can't imagine why you take the liberty of addressing me. Come here, Juanito. Both go out. So he ended the conversation with the old lady and moved from that place. But he warned her that she could not should not take that much liberty in talking to him in that particular manner. So Gonzalo left that place, went in search of a bench for himself. So Laura was observing this. What an ill-natured old man, she said. Looking at his behavior and response, she said, why must people get so fussy cross when they reach a certain age? When they become old, why do people become so fussy? As if she is very young, she is saying, when people become old, looking toward the right. She is interested in what is his work next. He is interested in him, whether he gets his seat or not. So I am glad, she said. He lost that bench too. The moment Gonzalo reached there, we saw before that he was dragging his feet. Probably he was dragging his feet and going to a place. By the time he reached that place, that seat or bench also would have been occupied by somebody. So he lost that too. That made Laura very happy. See, someone's loss is somebody's happiness. Poor man, she said. Serves right for him for scaring away the birds. What happened to him happened for the good. He deserved. That is what she thought. Now there was no bench left, was vacant anywhere else. With his dragging feet, Gonzalo came back. A carriage would not rise more dust than his feet, she said. The dust rising out of his feet looked like a carriage, rising the dust. So Gianetto, enter Gonzalo and Gianetto by the right and walk towards the left. They came back. They came back because they did not get a bench anywhere. Gianetto said. But meanwhile, Gonzalo asked Gianetto whether the priests had gone or not, but he replied they had not gone, they were still sitting. Gonzalo complained this way. The authorities should place more benches here on these sunny mornings, because there will be a crowd. More people come into the park on sunny mornings. There should have been more benches. Rather, what Gonzalo would have done, he would have come into the park earlier. But he is saying that authorities should place more benches. Well, he said, I suppose I must resign myself and sit on the bench with the old lady. So I must sit here. There is no other bench left. This is the only place. When I suppose I must resign, he said, and muttering to himself, he sits at the extreme end of Donna Laura's bench and looks at her indignantly. He touches his hat as he greets her, a courtesy. He sat beside her at one end of the bench and he touched his hat and greeted her. He said, "Good morning." So good morning should be answered with good morning. But what did Petra say? What? You here again? This is how the conversation continued. It started in unpleasantness, but now you can see there is awkward reply to good morning from this lady. But Gonzalo was polite. He said, I repeat that we have not met. That means, how could you take that much liberty? I was responding to your salute, she said. You said good morning, So I said, what? You here again? I said. See, sometimes it happens. People ask you, how are you? The reply to how are you is, I'm fine, thank you. Suppose the reply is like this. You say, how are you? And that person says, why? What happened to me? Why are you asking me like that? Then you are gone. Here too, Gonzalo touched his hat and said good morning. The response to good morning should have been good morning. But you, here again, she said. That's the reason why Gonzalo said, Madam, I repeat that we have not met before. I was responding to your salute, she said. He is still polite and said, good morning should be answered by good morning. And that is all you should have said. You should have asked permission to sit on this bench, which is mine, she said. So the conversation between these two happens like this, and it continues to happen, and it takes them to a tour, actually. And there are many more surprises to come because they begin to converse, not in the same manner throughout the play, but it changes a little later. There are reasons for that. So we will see what happens and what happens between these two. Do they continue to speak in the same manner they are speaking to one another? Or is there any kind of a friendship between them? Or is there any friendly conversation between them? And that happens, then when does it happen? Why does it happen? What happens thereafter? We'll see all these things in the episode number 3. Until then, bye.